Davy, it's a place of triumphs and disasters, but first winner at Cheltenham?
Yeah, Native Jack, kind of a surprise, a spare, more so than anything. His regular jockey, Johnny Cullen, got injured, and it was the bank race. Not many people think the bank race is, the be-all and end-all of the Cheltenham.
Well, it doesn't have the sort of cultural clout it does in Ireland for, those punches down banks. And
yeah, but you must remember where we started our sport.
Yes.
And for me, I'm deep in the heritage of it. I'm from Cork. It started there, and we're claiming.
There's nothing you can take for it.
We're claiming it. We're claiming it, and that's it. But I love riding over the banks. It's just back to the foundation for me. But we were just saying that you sit where you sit in the Wareham, and you see all these names like Charlie Swan, Istabrack, and Adrian Maguire for the Viking flagship, Richard Dunwoody, all these names, and here's me writing in Native Jack cross-country race, but I was getting it there because it could have been my only one, and I was getting it up, and I didn't care if anybody scribbled it out. I didn't mind, but sometimes he's actually still there, and I look and I was saying, I could have done with it. I didn't really need to write him up there.
You say I was young back then.
Yeah.
But obviously, we all love the theatre of the return of the winner, but for somebody like you, the first time, it must have been amazing.
Noise. It's noise. You don't. It's. I first experienced it when I finished second in the Gold Cup, because I walked in ahead of best mate, and literally the hairs stood on the back of my head on top of Trucker's Tavern, going to the second place. We were delighted. Obviously, we finished second, but we were delighted with the run and everything. But the roar, and I don't think it can ever be created in another race course. What they have, it's just unbelievable. And then the beauty of the walk down, the walk up. They're nearly 4 different sections. You pull up at the top, you meet the people there, you meet your fellow jockeys there, then you meet the whole crowd coming down, and then if you're 33-1, you hear crowds, the bookies saying congratulating you. If he's 3 or 4-1, you hear the punters.
It's all your name.
Yeah. But either way, there's winners somewhere along the line, and the beauty of it is literally they can put out their hand and touch you. Now, I've been to sporting events that are fantastic, but I'm up in the stands and I can't touch Ronan O'Gara or Johnny Sexton.
You can't pat Usain Bolt on the back.
No, and say, well done. Yeah, because he'd be gone, he's so fast.
So that's true as well.
But you literally can, and there is the thing with the English and Irish, but the one thing about Cheltenham is there's no animosity.
No.
The people that are cheering...
There's a unity of madness.
Yes.
We're all in it.
And it all goes back down to the horse people, country people, city folk, all gathering together. And the cheers can as much be English as much Irish. It doesn't matter who you're riding for. And it's brilliant to have. And I think that Cheltenham itself can be very proud of what they have created, the town, the area, and the English people involved. And I think it's second to none.
It has a resonance, obviously, with you chaps in the absolute front line. But for the public there and watching at home, those who can't get there, the atmosphere is part of the sheer joy of it. You walk in, I mean, it must be the same for the jockeys walking into the weighing room, but you walk in and everyone is absolutely buzzing because they know the day is going to deliver the extraordinary.
That's right.
Whatever happens. They may not know what it is.
That's right.
But they know it's going to happen.
And I think that's the beauty of it. Nobody knows. It's the unknown. You can go to matches or sporting events that, there's winners, and they're nearly gone by before it starts. But with Cheltenham, anything literally can happen.
Literally it can happen. What disasters have happened to you there?
Yeah, well, I suppose...
Things that have gone wrong, plots that haven't worked.
Yeah, I suppose one really that sticks out in my mind is, luckily enough, I won in Lord Windermere in the RSA, and that was on the Wednesday, I think, the Wednesday, yeah. So I didn't ride on the Tuesday, so I rode Lord Windermere on the Wednesday, and the last ride on Wednesday, I fell at the last. Perfect, no problem. Went home, woke up the next morning, riding out as we do, little jog and a walk, pop off from as we come up to walking, and I'm walking up, and I know something's wrong, and I don't know what it is, but I can see my car over here, and the hut where the security men here, and I'm looking at which is shorter that I can get to, and I realise that I'm after puncturing my lung. So I'm riding. The actual horse I was leading was Lord Windermere, or was Sir de Champs, who was, favourite, one of the favourites for the Gold Cup, the blue ribbon event, and that was it. That was my festival over. I tried to get to conquer it, but it didn't work, and that was all.
Did you try and get past the doctor?
I did.
Did they say, you've punctured a lung yet?
Yeah, very good. We've done everything we could, and that's again, it's the professionalism of it over here is just second to none, and obviously in Ireland, but it's just, they have everything on track to cater for. So we tried our best, and unsuccessfully then we couldn't, and that was my festival over. Just the peaks and troughs.
Did you stay, or did you go back home and think, I can't watch it?
No, unfortunately hospitalised and stayed in the
right,
hospital, and actually had to stay an extra couple of days in Cheltenham, and actually the difference in the town itself, the few days everything was buzzing during the festival, and I was there for an extra 5 or 6 days,
and then it's the haunted ballroom after that.
Just dives back down to suburban.
Genteel Cotswold town.
Yeah, that's
not
right.
that genteel in Bath. Lord Windermere, you mentioned, in a Gold Cup where 6 jumped the last with a chance, and you'd been hiding away in Winchcombe throughout the race, miles away, and thought, what's Russell up to? There's no chance from there. Tell us a bit about that race.
Going there, I knew he had a chance because he's liking for the place, as we've spoken about before. So that was a huge asset. The race itself it caught me unawares a small bit because the speed we went. It had been a few years. I haven't ridden in that many Gold Cups at the time, and but I was just literally booted to the board. Like my foot was to the floor, and I was saying, after them, then my initial 30 seconds around the bend and down the back, and I said, I'm going to have to come off the accelerator here, because if I do, I'm just going to get back to this point and pull up. And that was my thinking. So I just had to come off the accelerator. And when I came off the accelerator, he just shut down, engines shut down, and a little bit too much. So, but the one thing about him was he kept jumping, and he was just catching onto their coattails.
But that's what it was, coattails.
Yeah, it was just, I just glimpse of it. I just had a glimpse of staying in the race. I was just on the borderline of not being in the race. And every time he got to a fence, he jumped and jumped and jumped, and I was just grabbing onto their coattails. And, I had riders around me. I had AP around me, and I had I think Chalk Thornton maybe, or someone like that. So I wasn't overly worried. They were within, and they were on the same boat. So I wasn't overly worried. I had as we spoke about before, I could see people that that you wouldn't mind following, So I had a security in that, in my own thinking. And then, a couple of horses trickled out, and once I started passing horses, he started getting confidence, and I had a decision at the top of the hill whether, I was going to ride for a place and just hang in there, or I could go and shove him into the race and see what happens. And I just took my initial thought was to just keep doing what I'm doing, and luckily enough, he just kept finding and kept jumping and bang up.
And then there was the drama of a steward. I remember Jim Clossie coming over to me and said, are we going to keep it? Are we going to keep it? And I said, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the first people I spoke to was yourself in the parade ring. And of course, my first reaction is, what did we do wrong? Or what's this about? Because it happens so fast. It really does. You don't really realise.
And there were horses everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah. So, and I think my reassurance going in was that somebody, I'm pretty confident it was yourself.
The fat bloke in the paddock said we'd be all right.
That we might be okay. So then the other side of it was I didn't realise there was a camera in there. It was televised, and my first thing was I went to the table to think a big slug of water, and the fellow jockeys were laughing at it. So, but it was just one of them things. And then when the result was called, the public knew before I knew. So we were in the what you call the waiting room, and they announced the winner, and we couldn't hear it. And next thing I looked out to see was Jim Cullerty jumping, or was Willie Mullins jumping. Not that Willie would be doing too much jumping, but it was Jim. So I was confident in going back in. That.
And usually there's a great party in the weighing room, Gold Cup night, and to go in there the next morning is 300 million bottles of champagne. Was it a good evening in the weighing room that night?
Yeah, it was.
Cost you a few quid.
It'll probably be the first and only time I'll go and buy a dozen bottles of champagne.
Definitely the only time.
Yeah. So, but willingly, no problem.
A day like no other.
A day like no other. It was actually Tiger Roll won the same day, and I won the cat cart, the 2 mile handicap.
What was, yes.
So it just floated out of Cheltenham.
Excellent.